All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about Ethereum, but probably not in the way you're used to. We're going to look past it as just another cryptocurrency and see it for what it really is, a brand new toolkit for building wealth. I'm talking about an economy built from the ground up on something called smart contracts, where you don't have to ask the usual gatekeepers for permission. So how does this all work? Let's find out. This quote, this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Without asking permission, that's the game changer. We're talking about a massive shift from a world where you're constantly waiting for approval to one where all you really need is an internet connection. It's a huge promise, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Okay, so a new economy of code, what does that even mean? Well, to get it, you have to understand that we're talking about a total pivot away from the financial systems we've known our whole lives. We're moving towards a world built on, well, on what you could call programmable trust. It sounds a little techy, but stick with me. It's a really cool concept. And here's a perfect side-by-side. I mean, just look at the difference. On the left, you've got the old world, slow, clunky, super expensive because you've got all these middlemen taking a cut. Now look at the right. That's a smart contract. It's automated, it's clear as day, and it's just code. We're not just talking about a small upgrade here. This is a complete rewiring of how we make agreements. So all this fancy code, this new economy, it needs a place to live and run, right? Well, that brings us to the engine that powers this entire revolution, Ethereum. Now, this is probably the most important thing to get your head around. A lot of people hear Ethereum and think it's like Bitcoin. And not really. Think of Bitcoin as digital gold. It's a store of value. But Ethereum is more like a global computer that anyone can use. Its real power isn't in being digital money, it's in being the foundation for a whole new programmable economy, an economy that can be run by anyone, for anyone. And the basic building block of this whole thing? It's the smart contract. The vending machine analogy is perfect. Seriously, think about it. You walk up to a vending machine, you put in your money, that's the input, and the machine automatically gives you a soda, that's the output. There's no cashier to argue with, no manager to call. The rules are just built into the machine. A smart contract is exactly that, but for, well, almost anything. And look, this isn't some far-off futuristic idea. This is happening right now. We're talking about lending platforms that run 24/7 with no bankers involved. Supply chains where you can literally track your coffee beans from the farm to your cup. People are even exploring how this can make voting systems more transparent and secure. These smart contracts are already working behind the scenes, quietly changing how things get done. So let's talk about ETH, the actual currency of Ethereum. It kind of has two jobs. On one hand, you can think of it as digital oil. It's the fuel that powers this whole world computer. Every single thing you do on the network, it costs a little bit of this oil. But on the other hand, it's also digital property. Owning ETH is like having a key that unlocks the door to this whole new world of finance, digital art, and all kinds of other opportunities. Okay, this all sounds pretty cool, right? So the next logical question is, how do you actually get started? Let's get practical and talk about the toolkit you'll need to jump in and interact with this ecosystem. And you know what? It's actually not that complicated. It really just boils down to 3 steps. First, you got to choose a wallet. Then you set it up, and this is super important, you make sure it's secure. We'll get into that. And finally, you just need to fund it with a little bit of ETH so you can start paying for things and actually participating. So when it comes to picking a wallet, there's a really important trade-off to understand. You've got hot wallets and cold wallets. A hot wallet is basically software on your phone or computer. It's connected to the internet, so it's super convenient for day-to-day stuff. Think of it like your checking account. On the other side, you've got cold wallets. These are physical offline devices. They're not connected to the internet, which makes them way more secure. This is your vault for your long-term savings. Okay, let's quickly talk about gas. No, not for your car, but it's a similar idea. Every single action you take on Ethereum, sending money, interacting with an app, it requires a small fee paid in ETH. This is called a gas fee. And it's not just some random charge. That fee is what pays all the computers all over the world to process your transaction and keep the entire network secure. Getting a handle on how gas works is really key to using Ethereum without any surprises. All right, so once you've got your wallet set up and you understand the basics, a whole new world starts to open up. This is the fun part. We're about to explore the new frontier and look at some of the really exciting ways people are actually building wealth on this platform. Probably the biggest and most explosive area is something called decentralized finance, or DeFi for short.
Just imagine a brand new parallel financial system that's built entirely on code, not on Wall Street. We're talking about a world where you can get a loan in minutes without a credit check or earn interest on your savings at rates that would make your local bank blush. And it all happens without a single broker or middleman. So, how do people actually make money in DeFi? Well, it's best to think of it as a spectrum of risk. On the low risk end, you have lending. You just provide your assets for others to borrow and you earn interest. Pretty straightforward, kind of like a high yield savings account. In the middle, you have staking. That's where you lock up your tokens to help secure the network and you get paid rewards for doing it. Then you get to the higher risk but also higher reward end with things like providing liquidity. You're basically helping an exchange function and you earn a piece of the trading fees. But this one comes with some unique risks, like something called impermanent loss, which is a fancy way of saying the value of your investment can go down compared to just holding it if the market moves a lot. Each of these requires a bit of homework, for sure.
And it's not just about finance. There's this incredible idea called tokenization. The concept is simple. You can turn almost anything into a tradable digital asset on the blockchain. Just think about it for a second. You could own a tiny fractional share of a skyscraper in New York, or a piece of a famous painting, an NFT. You could even buy a share of the future royalties from your favorite musician's new song. It takes these huge, expensive assets and breaks them into tiny, affordable pieces, opening up investments that used to be only for the super rich.
Now, with all this incredible opportunity, of course, comes risk. It's the Wild West in some ways. So for this last part, let's talk about how to navigate this world safely and smartly. Think of this as your blueprint for getting started without getting burned.
The absolute #1 rule for staying safe in this space is doing your own homework. It's that simple. That means looking into who the team is, actually reading their plan, what they call a white paper, and just understanding that this market has big swings, up and down. And here's a really simple rule to live by. If a project's team is anonymous or they're promising you'll get rich overnight, just run. Seriously. If it sounds too good to be true, it almost certainly is.
So what's a smart way to move forward? Well, it looks something like this. First, start small. Don't bet the farm. Just use a little bit of money to learn how everything works. Second, have clear goals. Why are you even doing this? Third, don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's just classic investment advice, right? Diversify. And finally, as you start to accumulate some value, take security seriously. Move your serious holdings to a cold wallet. Protect your wealth. And really, this quote says it all. The future belongs to those who take the time to understand what's happening. Success in this new world isn't about getting lucky on some random coin. It's about understanding the tech, being smart and responsible about how you engage with it, and then being decisive enough to act on that knowledge.
Look, at the end of the day, this isn't a question of if this is going to happen. The transformation is already underway. This new decentralized economy is being built right now, as we speak. So the real question isn't if, it's how. How are you going to participate?